World War II is often remembered for its titanic battles in Europe and the Pacific, but few remember the unforgiving sands of North Africa. Here, in the heat of the desert, one general earned the respect of both his allies and enemies: Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox. A name that became legendary not only for his daring tactics, but for the code of honor he adhered to, even in the face of brutal warfare. How did this brilliant tactician earn his title? What drove him to become one of Nazi Germany's most celebrated generals, yet one who would later question Hitler's war and meet a tragic end? Stay with us as we uncover the rise and fall of the Desert Fox. Erwin Johannes Eugen Rommel was born in 1891 in Heidenheim, Germany. From a young age, he displayed a keen interest in mechanics and engineering. However, when he joined the German army in 1910, no one could predict the heights this man would reach. Rommel's talent for strategy and boldness emerged during World War I, where he gained recognition for his ability to outthink and outmaneuver his opponents. He was awarded the prestigious Pour le Mérite, Germany's highest military honor, for his leadership in the Battle of Caporetto, a victory that highlighted his early genius. But Rommel wasn't just a soldier. He was a family man, and unlike many of his peers, he never sought the political limelight. His focus remained purely on the art of war, a mindset that would eventually propel him to international fame. Rommel's true rise to fame came not in the familiar battlefields of Europe, but in the scorching deserts of North Africa. In 1941, he was appointed commander of the Afrika Korps, tasked with supporting Italy's faltering efforts against British forces. Rommel faced not only an experienced British army, but also the harsh and unforgiving environment of the desert itself. Yet despite these challenges, he quickly turned the tides of war. His secret? Speed, surprise, and unorthodox tactics that baffled his enemies. Rommel's strategy relied on rapid movement and flexible command structures. He would attack where his enemy least expected, often striking deep behind enemy lines. This earned him the nickname the Desert Fox from his British adversaries, who could rarely predict where he would strike next. One of Rommel's most famous campaigns was the Siege of Tobruk. A vital port city in Libya, Tobruk was heavily defended by Allied forces, and for months it had withstood German and Italian attacks. But Rommel was not easily deterred. Rommel's siege was relentless. Using a mix of feints, fast-moving armor, and psychological warfare, he kept the defenders off balance. In June 1942, his Afrika Korps finally broke through the British lines, capturing Tobruk and securing a major victory for the Axis powers. Rommel's victory at Tobruk sent shockwaves through the Allied command. The man who had once been an obscure officer was now a household name, feared by his enemies and hailed as a hero in Germany. But as Rommel's fame grew, so did the stakes of the war. Despite his brilliant victories, Rommel's situation was becoming increasingly dire. His supply lines were stretched to the breaking point, and reinforcements were few and far between. In the summer of 1942, Rommel faced off against the British once again at El Alamein, a battle that would change the course of the war in North Africa. Unlike the earlier battles, this time the British were ready. Led by General Bernard Montgomery, the British forces had superior numbers, more supplies, and a carefully laid plan to stop Rommel's advance. What followed was one of the most brutal battles of the North African campaign. Rommel fought fiercely, launching counterattacks and using every trick in his playbook. But the relentless pressure from the British, combined with a lack of fuel and supplies, forced him to retreat. El Alamein was a turning point, a rare defeat for the Desert Fox and the beginning of the end for the Axis in North Africa. After his defeat in North Africa, Rommel's health deteriorated and he was sent back to Germany. But even in retreat, his tactical brilliance was not forgotten. Rommel was soon put in charge of defending France against the impending Allied invasion, a task that would lead him into direct conflict with the Nazi high command. Rommel knew the Allies were coming, But he also knew that Germany's resources were stretched too thin. As D-Day approached, Rommel found himself increasingly disillusioned with Hitler's leadership and the direction of the war. Despite his loyalty to Germany, Rommel became involved in a conspiracy to overthrow Hitler, a plot that would seal his fate. In October 1944, Rommel was forced to take his own life after his involvement in the anti-Hitler conspiracy was discovered. His death was shrouded in mystery, reported as a heroic battlefield death. But in reality, it was the tragic end of a man who had fallen out of favor with the regime he had once served. Erwin Rommel's legacy is one of both brilliance and tragedy. He was a man who, even in the midst of war, earned the respect of his enemies for his honor and tactical genius. The Desert Fox, as he was called, forever changed the way warfare was fought in the harsh deserts of North Africa. But in the end, his refusal to blindly follow Hitler's path led to his untimely death. Rommel's story reminds us that even in the darkest times, there can be those who rise above the chaos. Men who, despite their circumstances, hold on to a code of honor. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the life of Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox of World War II, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more historical explorations.